2009 was absolutely crazy, especially in the world of animated movies. Banger after banger after banger after banger. Up proved that Pixar can make you cry in the first 10 minutes. Coraline and Fantastic Mr. Fox are two of the best stop motion films ever made. Princess and the Frog wasn't my cup of tea, but it's a very important throwback to the hand-drawn princess films of Disney's heyday. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is one of the most underrated animated films ever made. Ice Age 3 isn't amazing, but it's absolutely hilarious. In 2009, I mean, you just had to be there. And on top of all those animated films I watched, my brother had just entered the world. Okay. This actually might have been the best year ever conceived. But I'm not here to talk about all that. I'm here to talk about what DreamWorks was doing 15 years ago. Monsters vs. Aliens is about a woman who is transformed into a giant after she is struck by a meteorite on her wedding day. She becomes part of a team of monsters sent in by the US government to defeat an alien mastermind trying to take over Earth. As far as I know, a lot of people consider this movie to be extremely underrated, which is perfectly fine. For me personally, I think it has underrated aspects, but overall, I think it's just a fine movie. I really love the premise of this. It's like a fun 50s monster flick throwback for a new audience. The movie introduced Susan, or Ginormica, who is an obvious parody of the 50-foot woman. Bob is like the Blob. Insectosaurus is an obvious reference to Mothra. Dr. Cockroach is an allusion to the Fly, and Missing Link is definitely the creature from the Black Lagoon. Every single one of these characters are fun, but I'll get into that at the end because with the flaws I have with this film, the characters truly saved this movie. The animation still holds up impressively well for 15 years later, but I have a criticism that I really don't know how to explain. Something about the human faces just look really off, and I know I'm a critic who needs to break down what I think is wrong or right about something, but here I just don't know how to explain it. It's a small nitpick though, so it doesn't hurt the movie whatsoever. Where the animation truly shines is the 3D. This was actually the first computer animated movie directly produced in a stereoscopic 3D format, instead of being converted into 3D after completion. Coincidentally enough, this was the first movie I ever saw in 3D. It's definitely a theatrical experience I won't forget, because if you didn't see this movie in 3D, you absolutely missed out. The action in this movie truly is elevated by the use of 3D. When you watch this movie at home, it kind of teases you for the fact that if you don't have a 3D TV, then you're missing out on some quality stuff. Wait, hold up. Why that burger looks so realistic? The story is definitely not one of DreamWorks' best. The first and second act are the movie's strongest. The movie admittedly starts off slow, but once Susan turns giant and meets the monster gang, it's a lot of fun. I think these two acts are when the movie makes the best of its retro monster movie vibes it's going for. The Golden Gate Bridge battle is definitely a DreamWorks highlight, where all the monsters' abilities are put to the test, and we get to see how they work together as a team, and it's hilarious.
Bob!
What?
Help me!
Sorry, I was just staring at this bird over there.
This is the most fun the movie gets, where Ginormica uses cars to skate through San Francisco. It's wacky, but charming. After that, though, I sadly feel like the movie runs out of steam. We're finally introduced to our villain who was bland, but the way he talks about his backstory is genuinely hilarious.
I found out my parents were... No child should ever have to endure that.
Honestly, right now I feel a lot of tension between me and the people who love this movie. So right now, the movie for me is kind of a 5 out of 10, but I got something that saves this movie by a long shot: the characters. While I don't personally think this movie is underrated itself, the movie has DreamWorks' most underrated cast of characters of all time, by far. This was DreamWorks' first movie to have a female protagonist, and they did a really decent job. Susan is our main character, whose world gets turned upside down when she turns into a giant during her wedding. Her main personality trait is that she just wants to be normal again and marry Derek, who's just actually a jerk. While she's not the most empathetic DreamWorks character, you do feel bad for her when she eventually finds out Derek isn't all that, and her goal to be normal means nothing if she can't have him. It makes it even more rewarding when she accepts who she is as a monster. It's predictable, but it's sweet, and just because something is predictable doesn't necessarily make it bad. I'm not a man into politics. I don't care about Biden, Trump, Obama, Lincoln, even damn President Garfield. Put this man in office though. The president is without a doubt one of the funniest side characters in DreamWorks history. The scene where the giant alien robot crashes on Earth is played straightforward. Then this boy starts playing Axel F and starts grooving, trying to communicate with the alien. This scene is so stupid, but sometimes DreamWorks' stupidest scenes are also its best. Then of course you got the missing link, who thinks he's the absolute coolest guy around when really he's just a guy out of shape, so you know, he's kind of just me. Dr. Cockroach is the brains of the group, who is always tampering with something, trying to build a new invention. He's the least funniest out of the group, but he's still memorable. But the absolute funniest character in this entire film and the overall most underrated DreamWorks character of all time is Seth Rogen's Bob.
We have to get these people off the bridge!
Got it.
No, Bob!
This may be the only movie where every, and I mean every singular line he says is funny.
Oh, I forgot how to breathe. Don't know how to breathe. Help me, Dr. Cockroach, help.
He's the dumb one, but the way it's done is brilliant because the way Seth Rogen gives it his all. He's stupid but not a jerk, and he's absolutely charming.
Amazing! Bob, who else could fall from unimaginable heights and end up without a single scratch?
Link?
All the movie's best quotes come from him solely. Even when he's not talking, like his facial reactions, they're just perfect.
We all think the new Susan is the cat's meow. I'm sorry.
These characters elevate the comedy of the film. Not every joke hits, but most of them do, and the characters' dynamics and jokes helps this movie's quality a lot. 15 years ago, I remember loving this movie, but 15 years later, it doesn't really hold up that well for me personally, but I'm happy it has its fans because it's definitely a solid movie. It may not live up to its premise, but the characters and comedy elevate this into being a very decent DreamWorks movie.
Green, blue, yellow, orange, baby blue, purple, pink, mauve, gold, brown, ochre, avocado, adobe glow. Hey!
Your busted, tired dance moves are no match for my security protocols.
One thing you don't know about me, my dear. My PhD is in